Hi everyone, I am Svante Gustafsson and I'm here to talk to you about Zephyr Enterprise. Just to be clear on that, I will explain a little bit more what I mean with it. I come from a company, the company JIRA, that sponsored this event. And my talk will be both a demonstration of Zephyr, what it can do, but also a case study for one implementation of Zephyr that I've been participating in. I will also be standing over here as well. So, what's JIRA? JIRA is a consultancy firm. We started back in 2005. We are mainly focused on requirement management, configuration management, test management. We have been working with Atlassian for a few years now actually, and since 2008 we have been Atlassian experts. Last year we became enterprise experts as well. We are around 10 people working with this. And as you can see, we are a one-stop shop for Atlassian customers. We can actually go in and help you with everything when it comes to Atlassian products on all levels. Who am I? I'm a senior consultant at JIRA. I've been around for 20 years in this business now. I've been working primarily with configuration and change management, a lot of continuous improvement. I'm a tools person. I love working with tools and try to squeeze the much you can out of a tool. Besides JIRA and Confluence, which are my expertise area, I'm also very good at the rational tools, which I actually started with. So ClearCase, ClearQuest and stuff like that I'm very experienced with. So if any one of you are using those old tools, I can probably do some assistance. I've been working a lot with Quality Center from HP and also now the Zephyr Enterprise. You can email me if you have questions. You can talk to me after the talk. I have a Twitter. I don't Twitter that much, but it's there. Zephyr Enterprise. This is the splash screen you see when you start up Zephyr. Zephyr comes in 3 different flavors. You have an Enterprise edition, you have a Community edition, and you have the Zephyr for JIRA. Enterprise edition is their flagship product. It's a complete test management tool that covers the whole application lifecycle management cycle. The Community version is a downsized enterprise, and the good thing with the Community is that it's actually free. And there are some limitations, of course. You cannot be more than 10, but if you are a small shop and want to try out test management from Zephyr, the Community edition could be the way to go. Zephyr for JIRA is a different animal actually. It's an extension to JIRA, it's a plugin where you can actually manage test cases within JIRA. But there are some limitations with that. If you have a simple product or one product, then it's probably okay to use Zephyr for JIRA because it helps you manage one set of test cases. But if you have a complex product or large shop with many parallel products releasing in parallel and so on, then Zephyr for JIRA may be hard to implement as a test management tool. Then you should look at the Zephyr Enterprise. This is, now I will sound like a Zephyr salesman. This is what they say on their homepage, that it's an enterprise test management platform, and they manage everything from requirements to the releases. And that's quite true actually, with some glitches here and there. But and one important thing is that they don't. They say they are methodology agnostic, and that's true. They don't fit in saying that they are agile or waterfall or whatever. The tool actually doesn't care what kind of process you have. You can adapt the tool to whatever process, which is a good thing. So you don't have to be a Scrum shop or so. And these are the main comments they have why they differ from other test management tools in this market. It's a scalable tool, very flexible architecture. They have this unique push technology that I haven't seen anywhere. They actually, when you look at trend data, for example, it is actually live data at all time. You don't see something that were gathered 3 hours ago or something like that. Every graph is generated in runtime within Zephyr, and that's also regarding data coming from JIRA. They have a lot of dashboards, both on project level, I will show later, but also on an executive level where you can actually aggregate project-related metrics into one place for your upper management. These dashboards are also outside of the license engine, so you don't actually need licenses to view those dashboards, which is a good thing, because you don't want to buy a license for the CEO, for example, just to view the graphs. It's very easy to use, install and maintain, in my opinion. I've installed this at the company I've been helping this out with, and it was actually quite a breeze to do it. Zephyr and Atlassian are partners, and they are what they call strategic technology partners or something like that since October 2008. That means that Zephyr, when JIRA comes out in a new version, Zephyr comes out the same day with a version adapting that new JIRA version. And this is actually key because the two tools I will show you are very tight integrated, so they need to be on the same page at all time. What they call this locked step release support. There is a two-way integration between the tools, meaning that you can actually get data out of JIRA into Zephyr and the other way around, and I will show you that. You can also use, I will show you that later as well. As a JIRA plugin, this Zephyr for JIRA I was talking about, that's the only test management plugin that is pre-installed on Atlassian On Demand, and that is also something that shows that Atlassian and Zephyr has this tight partnership, that they actually, Atlassian actually have that as a pre-installed plugin. We're done? Okay. How does Zephyr look? Zephyr is divided into 3 tiers. We have the department tier, which is the outer bound here, which include the resource management, test project management, and all the dashboards. When it comes to the resource management, the users could actually be fetched from JIRA, much the way you use if you have a Confluence JIRA installation. You use JIRA as the user management tool, and you can piggyback Zephyr on JIRA as well. Then we have the project tier, which divides the department into parallel projects, if you like. And those projects can work independently from each other, using the resources defined at the department level. Each project then is then divided into releases or iterations or sprints, or what I used to call them test efforts. We have some effort that we should test something that could usually be a sprint, for example. And that is defined within the project. And we can have parallel sprints if we like. And Zephyr will manage that for you. And out of this, you will get metrics, you will get documents and dashboards and stuff like that. This looks like remote controls, I think. the two-way integration is based on two different areas. One is where the two applications actually share information about projects. They share information about users. I said that JIRA could be used as the user management system. And you can also use LDAP if you like. And also the issues. And the issue integration is bidirectional. So you can actually create JIRA tickets from within Zephyr. And you can also update JIRA tickets from within Zephyr. And you can search for defects, for example. So you don't have to create defects within Zephyr and try to synchronize them with JIRA. Everything resides in JIRA, and Zephyr just taps into the database and displays it in its own application. Then when it comes to data, as I said, it's a runtime integration. So every graph we show in Zephyr is based on what is in JIRA right now. I will show you a demo, I promise. And the demo will be on test execution, because that's a funny thing to show. And then especially the automatic test execution. But just to get you there, I will show you the normal manual test execution. And as you know, for all test management tools, you have your test management system and you have your test system. And in the test management system, you have defined a test case. And this test case has a number of steps usually. And the tester sits in front of the test system and follows the steps. And for each step in Zephyr, you can put a status on it saying that this step failed or this step was a success. When the test case is completed, you can report status for the entire test case. There's nothing new with this. This is special for Zephyr. If this test case fails, you want to raise a defect on it. What you do in Zephyr then is you just click the defect button and you enter the defect. And this defect is actually entered into JIRA. So you don't have anything in Zephyr regarding the defect except a link. And if you go into JIRA and you see this defect, you will see this entry under the issue link for the defect, where you see the back reference to Zephyr. And this is, of course, a live link. So you can click on the 2803 there, and you will open up Zephyr and show you the test case. And there's also a small icon there saying that this test case failed. When you have a lot of test cases, you want to automate as much as possible to be able to run more test cases more often. The way this is done in Zephyr is that they have a automatic testing framework called Zbot. If you have several test systems, you can install this Zbot on each and one of them. And then Zephyr will talk to each Zbot here. Start test cases, normal scripting, and the Zbot will run the test for you, and it will report back to Zephyr. And this is all out of the box. This you can set up in, I would say, 1 hour. It's actually very simple. The next part of my talk will be a case study. I work currently with a company called Klarna. Klarna is a rapidly growing business company in the e-commerce business. They provide payment solutions for internet payment solutions for you. One of the main drivers this company has is to let the end consumer get the product before they pay. So they stand for the economic risk in the purchase. And this puts a lot of requirement on the company being able to do calculated risk management, making sure that when I buy something, I will pay. They can evaluate that in less than a second. And the products they provide are either invoicing, or I can have an account with them, and I can also have installments for the things I purchase. Klarna was founded in 2005, and as I said, they're moving rapidly from a startup into an enterprise business. Today, 700 employees in over 7 countries. And it's an extreme expansion they are going through right now. The challenge that Klarna had was that they support more than 17 different e-commerce platforms, saying that if you, for example, go to one web shop like Ginza, for example, they have their own platform for their web shop. And another company has another platform for the web shop. And all these platforms need to be compatible with the Klarna product to be able to pay with Klarna. So what they have is a huge amount of different interface products being able to talk to all these platforms that are out there. They support all platforms you can imagine, iOS, Windows, Mac OS, all the common browsers are supported and so on. The dimensions of this is huge, actually. And to test this on all these platforms is a nightmare. They are today located in a half dozen countries, and those countries bring their own problems with country-specific laws and regulations and stuff like that, that needs to be taken care of as well. The situation was that they didn't have any common repository for platform tests. So more or less, all tests were written every time they come out with a new version of one platform, for example. And all these tests were manual, and it took enormous amount of time to run this. And they actually had quite extensive testing, and trying to compile a test report of this was a job that took like 3 days to create a test report. And they worked in 2-week sprints, and out of those 10 working days, 3 days were reporting a test report for a test lead, for example. And there were obviously no automatic linking between the requirements they had and the tests they wrote over and over again, and the defects that were created in JIRA and so on. So it was kind of messy in that aspect. We sat down in October and discussed how can we solve this. We tried to identify the main issues here, the main pains that they had, and we come up with a strategy for how to solve this. And the first was to implement Zephyr Enterprise and utilize the tight integration with JIRA. We would also like to use JIRA for describing the requirements, because the requirements as of today, as of back then, I would say, was kind of scattered, I would say. So we had a need to actually consolidate the requirements into one place. So we actually use JIRA for this. But we have not built like a requirement management tool. So it's a very simple way we just try to keep track of the requirements. We have implemented behavior-driven development, and this, I have a separate talk about this, but this is a way to develop code from a behavioral perspective, which has proven to be very efficient when it comes to writing test cases. One thing that were very clear from the beginning was that we need to create baseline test cases for all these platforms. So even if we have one requirement saying that there should be a big button that is blue, that it says pay with Klarna, this has probably, we need to create test cases for all the different platforms, because the platform works very differently. They should all implement the requirement, but they do it in their own ways. So we need these baseline test cases, so we have like an archive of tests that we can work from. We should use the ZBot as automation test framework. And then we should integrate Zephyr with ZBot, and Klarna is using Jenkins. Is that like cursing in church at Atlassian? But the thing is, they are using Jenkins, and they have a huge Jenkins farm. So why don't we use it? And we have Selenium servers for testing the web interface. So what we would like to do is actually integrate everything and make sure that we can run all these tests automatically on the Selenium servers. And the way we have done it is like this. This comes out of the box, as I said. We have Zephyr Enterprise, we have the Z-bots. What was already in the building was the Jenkins environment. We have all the test systems with the Selenium servers and so on. Now we need to tie these two together. And it is actually possible to do that with the out-of-the-box solution, but we lose a lot of things. We also have the JIRA integration, of course, out of the box. We lose some aspects in this. So what we have done is we have come up with a mid-layer. This mid-layer is a home-developed, JavaScript-based, very small mid-layer that actually just listens in two directions. It listens to the Z-bot, which is installed in the mid-layer actually, and it talks and listens to the Jenkins environment. And it works pretty much like two queues. Receiving messages from one, look at the message, see what should I do, and just pass it on to the next one. The reason for this mid-layer was that we need to be able to grab information from Zephyr, because when we create our automated test cases, we want to send, when we start a job in Jenkins, we would like to send all the steps in this specific test case to Jenkins. So we get that from Zephyr, from the test case. And we do it over the web services they provide. We also talk to JIRA, and the reason for that is that we haven't actually managed to penetrate Zephyr's APIs that much, so that we can do it that way. We actually want to be able to do it through Zephyr, being able to update JIRA, and I will show you what I mean in my demo later. So we have created a shortcut from the mid-layer into JIRA as well. This mid-layer is something that will probably be released open source for anyone that is interested and thinks this is a good thing. And as I said, it's a very simple mid-layer. Everyone would understand it, I would say. So now everyone keeps their fingers crossed, and I would like to show you how this works in reality. And I have actually made a screencast out of it. What I will show you here is one test we will run on one of their integration websites. It's a simple test. We are going through a form, and we will make sure that that form works the way we like. And for pedagogic reasons, first I will do a test that passes, and then we will do a test that fails, and I will show you how it integrates with JIRA. Okay? So this is the application under test. It's an application that is developed by Klarna. We have a menu at the left where we would like to apply for a test account. And the test I'm going to do is go into this search field, countries to test for, and just enter the letter S and make sure that it returns just one country, namely Sweden. So it's a very simple test. So this is how you do it manually. This is our Jenkins, and this is Zephyr. And in the test case creation, I have created a test case that actually does what I showed you manually. First, and this is the BDD syntax. Given I go to this web address, and I click on the menu, and I click on the submenu. When I type S, I can see the search result is Sweden. These test steps are translated into the Selenium servers later on. So in the test creation application in Zephyr, I create my test cases like this. I will tell Zephyr that this is an automated test. Then I go over to the test execution area, And in the test execution, I see my test case here, the same steps. I see also that I have a possibility to set a status on it. I also see that this test has been run once, and then it failed. So what I do is I click the run button, and I have set up some parameters here. And what will happen when I start this test is that it will show immediately that it's work in progress. So Zephyr picks up immediately that. What happens is when this mid layer receives this execution of a test case, it will tell Jenkins to start a job, a predefined job that we have created. And it feeds this job with information about the test case, with all the steps and everything. Then I go into Jenkins, and I don't have to go into Jenkins when I run the test, but to show you what happens. I go into Jenkins and I look at the output. I will see here that now the test is running. And I can see that it's on a Selenium machine and so on. And there's the test done. And I can see that it's a success. So let's go back to Zephyr. Now I see that the test has passed. And it's automatically updated here. So that was the successful test run. Now I will change the test case saying that if I type in the letter S, I would like to see both Sweden and Switzerland. And as you saw in the application, we will still only see Sweden. So this test case will fail. So I go over to my test case execution. I just verify that it has been updated properly, and then I start the test again. And I switch over to Jenkins, and here you can see now when Jenkins picks up the job, there you go. The job was started in the Jenkins farm. The test is running. And here we can see that something failed. We can also see here that one test step has failed. If I now go back to Zephyr, you will see that the test case has failed in this test execution. There you go. Let's switch over to JIRA. What this mid layer has done now, it's actually created a defect for us in the background. This defect was created by the mid layer, and it has pre-filled this defect with all the information about the test case. I can see the test case number, I can see the test case information and all the steps to reproduce. So this is pretty much the same information when you have done a manual test. I also get a screenshot for how the application looked like when it failed. So I can compare and see what actually happened. I said that there is a two-way integration between Zephyr and JIRA. I can now actually link this one back. This is still a manual step for us. We will automate this as well. But I can link back this defect back to Zephyr. And now I have a link even in Zephyr to this JIRA ticket. And if I go back to JIRA and refresh this page, you will see this link even in the JIRA ticket. There you go. So now we have traceability, full traceability for defects and test cases during an automated test run. The result of this, this was a proof of concept we made. I said we started in October. In November we made the implementation of it. And I would say that we went live early December. So we have been in business 2 months with this now. And the result so far has been that for each sprint that we start in this team, we have all the relevant requirements imported into Zephyr, which makes it possible actually to trace both requirements versus test cases, so we can see that we have coverage, but we can also see defects versus requirements. So we can see if some requirements actually produce more defects than other requirements. We have an almost complete test case archive for all supported platforms. This makes regression testing extremely easy for us. We just put together the regression test packages we like. If we change in one end of the product, we can bring in regression tests from the other end if necessary, and so on. We don't have to rewrite everything. And as I just said, new test cases are written only for new and updated functionality, because old functionality, those test cases are already in the system, which gives more time to write really good new test cases. The number of automated tests are rapidly increasing. And this gives time to testers also to focus on improvements instead. So we can shift the resources, let the Z-bots do the work, and the testers the really hard work instead. The time spent for creating the test report, I said it took almost 3 days to create a test report. It takes less than an hour today with this system. The benefit there is quite obvious, I would say. That was what I had planned to show you regarding Zephyr Enterprise and how we have integrated it with JIRA, and also extended the integration, the existing integration. And I have a few minutes over. So if someone has one question, I can take it now, or we can take it later on.
If you have a question, we'll get a t-shirt.
Oh.
Okay, I actually have a question here. So how do you deal with the false negatives? Like, in my word, maybe automated tests are not that stable at all times, so at some point we might generate a bulk of defects that are not supposed to be real defects.
Because the test case...
If the test case is unstable for some reason, then you might end up with a lot of defects that shouldn't be.
We don't manage that with this, I would say. I say we should manage that. If we encounter that kind of test cases, we need to evaluate them.
Right.
And maybe take them out of commission for the time being and refactor them, or just to learn why are they failing. We do have a lot of failing test cases. We call them failing test cases, yeah, where the actually test case is faulty. It doesn't do what it's supposed to do. Right. But this, as I see it, requires that the test cases are stable, especially if you are going to automate as much as possible. Yeah. Come again.
What I get from this presentation is that Zephyr is basically a test framework like Selenium or another framework, which you can integrate with Jenkins. As you said in the presentation, that you are coding with BDD, behavior development in this framework. So is it kind of a recording play, just like in Selenium you can, instead of integrating development environment, you can record, and then you can replay this, it generates a script.
So the question is if we can record and replay?
Yeah.
We don't do that yet. So with the help of the BDD, we can actually write test cases, but we don't record them in that manner yet.
Which scripting language are you using for writing all these test cases? Java or Python or?
The test cases are written, as you saw, as you can see here. Now this is a static picture. This is actually the syntax. So I'm not that familiar with BDD in detail, but what BDD has is a glossary that we have defined with different terminology and so on, which could be interpreted. So the tester who writes this test case has to comply with that. But then you can write quite complex test cases, but you still have to write them.
Can we integrate this tool to Selenium?
Sorry?
Can we integrate this tool to Selenium? And if yes, how we can integrate this Zephyr to Selenium?
The way we have done it is through Jenkins. So the question was, can you integrate it with Selenium? And the way we have done it is that we have a Jenkins job kickstarting the Selenium, and we talk to Jenkins.
Can you have some more detail to that, how you integrate Selenium with Zephyr to Jenkins?
We haven't looked into that actually. Thanks. Any more? Okay, thank you.